This video lesson will talk about the different kinds of proportions. What is proportion? Proportion is the relationship between two quantities. Numerical values are used to represent this relationship. And in most cases, these numbers are used to compare things and people or even time and distance. So we use number to represent the relationship between two quantities, and that is proportion. In mathematics, proportion is an equation showing two ratios which are equal. Okay? It is a statement that expresses the same relationship between two quantities. Okay? To understand, let's have the kinds of proportions. We have three kinds of proportions. We have direct proportion, inverse proportion, as well as partitive proportion. Let's first discuss direct proportion. It has two values that may vary, but the ratio between them remains the same. Why? Because in this proportion, as one value decreases, the other value also decreases. And as one increases, the other also increases. And for quantities A and B, so we let A and B as the two values. We have here the direct proportion A sub 1 over B sub 1. So this is the first proportion or first ratio. The relationship between A sub 1 and B sub 1 is equal to the relationship between A sub 2 over B sub 2. And this equation pertains to direct proportion. So their relationship are just equal. Okay? To better understand what is direct proportion, we have here a sample problem. It says that a 200 grams of mango costs 20 pesos. Question is, how much will 1,200 grams cost? On the first sentence of this problem, it involves two numerical values. It pertains to the relationship between the grams of mango versus its cost, and that's already a proportion. To illustrate, we can write this way. The proportion of grams and the cost, which is grams all over cost. Then we substitute the given values. We have here 200 for the grams and 20 for the cost. And in the problem, in the question rather, the given is only the grams of mango, but the cost is missing. So we let variable x be the variable to denote the cost. And then we are going to equate this to 1,200 all over x. And this whole equation is what we call the proportion statement. Okay, so now, how can we solve for the value of x? So to answer that, we're going to apply the concept of multiplication property of equality, or simply we have to cross multiply. Upon cross multiplying, we have here 200x is equal to 20 times 1,200, and then we perform the indicated operation. So we have here 200x equals 24,000. For us to solve for the value of x, we're going to eliminate the number beside x. So all we need to do is to divide the whole equation with this number, which is 200. So 200 divided by 200, that is equal to 1. Therefore, x variable will be the one to be remain on the left side of the equation. Then we divide 24,000 by 200. So using your calculator, that is equal to 120. And the unit is Philippine peso. Therefore, 1,200 grams of mango costs 120 pesos. Now let's proceed to inverse proportion. So it means that an increase in one quantity results into a decrease in another, or as one quantity decreases, the other increases. So the relationship between two values or variables in this kind of proportion is opposite. So when one increases, the other decreases, and vice versa. So that is their relationship. Okay. So now to define for quantities A and B. Okay. This is now the inverse proportion. We have here A sub 1 over A sub 2. So this is the first relationship. Okay. Which is equal to the next relationship B sub 1 over B sub 2. Okay. To better understand what is inverse proportion, we have here sample problem. So a construction company has 20 workers which can make a residential house for 120 days. So how many workers is needed to finish the house for 90 days? First thing to do is to identify what would be the A sub 1, A sub 2, B sub 1, and B sub 2. So to easily identify those and for us to easily represent this proportion, we must look at the values. Two values having the same description, and that would be the number of days on the problem. We have here 90 days and 120 days. So 90 would be our A sub 1 since it has lesser value than 120 days. Then we write this way: 90 days divided by 120 days. And then the second, the B sub 1 and B sub 2, we have here 20 workers and the unknown. So 20 would be our B sub 1. Okay, and our B sub 2 was be X number of workers since that is unknown. Okay, and then we are going to rewrite that as 90 over 120 is equal to 90 over X. So this is what we call proportion statement. Then for us to solve for the value of X, what we need to do is to apply the concept of multiplication property of equality. That is simply by doing some cross multiplication. So we have 90x equals 120 times 20. Then we perform the indicated operation. So we have here 90x is equal to 2,400. And for us to solve for x, we must divide the whole equation by the number beside the x variable, which is 90. And 90 divided by 90, that is equal to 1. So x will be the one to be remain on the left side of the equation. Then we divide 2,400 by 90. So by division, that is equal to 27, and the unit is workers. So we have 27 workers, and therefore 27 workers are needed to finish the house for 90 days. And lastly, let's talk about partitive proportion. So it is when a whole is partitioned into equal or unequal ratios. So to define, we have here, so for ratio A, B, and C, we have A is to B is to C. We have here A of X is to B of X is to C of X equals K, or simply as A of X plus B of X plus C of X is equal to K. So where A, B, C are the variables, X is the unknown unit, and K is the given value to be partitioned. Okay, so to understand, let's have an example. Team wants to donate 300,000 pesos to 3 different foundations in the ratio of 1:2:3. The question is, how much will each foundation receive? So we can do this. Okay, we can write the ratio as X is to 2X is to 3X equals 300,000. And then with that, we can do this. X plus 2X plus 3X equals 300,000. So this is now the equation for the proportion. And that, this 2 refers to the proportion statement. And then we are going to add the 3. The X, 2x, and 3x, which is equal to 6x, and that is equal to 300,000. And to solve for the value of x, we must divide the whole equation with the number beside x, which is number 6. Then 6 divided by 6 is equal to 1, therefore x will be the one to be remain. Then 300,000 divided by 6, that is equal to 50,000. And with that, since we already know the value of x, we can now substitute this to each ratio. Okay? So for x, we have 550,000 pesos. For 2x, that is 2 times 50,000, that is equal to 100,000 pesos. And then for 3x, that is 3 times 50,000, which is equal to 150,000 pesos. So that is the whole process of solving problems involving partitive proportion. Okay, so
the whole amount is being partitioned into parts. Okay, so I hope you follow the steps.
That would be all for our lesson. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you learned something from me and see you on our next video lesson.